which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please join us in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Standing room only.
So, sorry about the smell in the courthouse. Matthew did request that we have a barn burner of a meeting. Still don't have that applause deal up there, but all right. So we'll start off item 1, citizen concerns.
All right, before we get to that, I have, because of a tie in the write-in votes, in city elections, they're the only elections that this can occur, is if the write-in wins a position and they turn it down, you go to the second one. And the second one was a tie, okay? So we have to bring it back to the Board of Canvassers, and you have to pick the winner out of the hat. And this is not, doesn't have to, this is strictly ministerial, so it doesn't go on the agenda as an action item. So, Mr. Raddick, you'll pick the winner out of the hat here. There's two of them. Oh,
This one?
yep.
All right.
Nicholas Gatto. Okay, and the other one was Scott Timmerman. So there were two in there. Okay. So I'll note that Nicholas Gatto was,
So if he declines, does it go to the other one? Or?
no, then when it declines, then it's a vacancy and they have to, the remaining member of
Which city was this for?
Odo.
Odo, okay. Gatto and Odo. Well, the write-in won. It didn't want it. Yeah.
All right.
No stress. Probably why he didn't run for it.
So, seeing no citizen concerns, we'll move on to approval of the agenda. I'll move that.
Second.
Motion by Raddick, second by Ung. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Items 3 through 7 constitute a consent agenda of routine action items to be considered by one motion. Items passed unanimously unless a separate vote is requested by a board member. Item 3, approval of the minutes of the November 19th, 2019 meeting. Item 4, approval of claims. Item 5, from Board Administration, approval of resolution for tax suspension for DM. Item 6A, from Human Resources, approval of memorandum of personnel transactions. 6B, authorization to initiate hiring process. Item 7, from the auditor, discuss and approve cigarette permit for Heritage Express, Sloan, Iowa. And that ends the consent agenda. Any discussion?
I have one question. I don't see anybody here that can answer it, unfortunately. On the last item, the cigarette permit, it was received November 20th, but the permit's effective July 1st, last July 1st.
The
Cigarette
item
permit.
7.
Said it's a renewal of an existing permit. But we received it 4 months after we're issuing it.
You said it was actually signed?
Well, the date they have where they signed for this was July 22nd. So it would have been a little late, but then it says we received it on November 20th.
And I think that goes to the state.
Well, yeah, because the back is the Iowa Department of Revenue, but it says the bottom part's for the county auditor to fill in when the permit was issued and all that good stuff.
So this is under Michelle, right?
Yeah.
Can she just email a follow-up to that for us?
Yeah, that's all I want an answer. I'm not going to say no on it, but it just seems funny we're issuing it retroactive.
All right, any other questions or discussion? We need a motion, don't we? I'll move it.
Second.
Motion by Raddick, second by DeWitt. All right, no further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes 5-0. Moving on to item 8, consideration of payment for equalization notice. So this is the
Okay, we had to send out an equalization notice to parcel owners in the city of Sioux City. The city assessor received an equalization notice, and it was for 8%. So we had to send it out to everyone in the city. And in order to get it out on time, to kind of move off the dime, the city assessor agreed to pay for the initial, I think it was $13,000 that they had to pay in order to get it out on time. The code section says the auditor shall, and that might confer a duty on the auditor to do that, but the budget director and analyst raised a question as to who should actually pay for that. And so we did agree to send it up to the county attorney to get an answer on who should actually pay for it. Joshua, do you want to take it from here for just a second? Or?
Well, you can, my response there is in the backup materials. It boils down to, yes, in the code, the auditor does have the duty of sending them out, but I don't think that's necessarily the end of the discussion as far as who's responsible for payment. Iowa code is actually silent on that issue. There are some other instances where the auditor has a duty where there's a specific provision for reimbursement. For instance, school elections, the like. So I think that there's probably arguments on both sides of it, but where I would come down on it is it's only affecting a certain subset of taxpayers, in this case specifically Sioux City, and it would, in my view, be the best conclusion for those taxpayers to bear the cost of it. But as far as, is it there black and white in code, in the Iowa code, who should pay for it? No, it's not.
Well, in my personal opinion, this is not something we should pay for, and we send them the bill if they haven't paid for it. And if not, I think we try it in a legal case or have the state clarify it for us.
I also, the city assessor did send it to the ISAC, and ISAC pretty much said the same thing as Joshua, is that the code is silent on who should pay for it. And then I brought it to you because if I would have sent it in, then you can't really deny a claim that I send to you unless you think it's unlawful. And so I had the question, and Dennis had the question, and so you folks are the steward of you are the chiefs, financial officers of the county, so looking for guidance from you.
Send them the bill.
So the effect is they already have a balance due to some.
Yes,
vendor, 3,000.
Yes. The city assessor actually paid the first $13,000. There's a balance due, it looks like $3,058. And so you have lots of options there. You tell me what, I'm seeking direction.
If the shoe is on the other foot, you have the county assessor, why should the city people pay for a county assessor's equalization order when it affects only your rural people and the cities? The one way to resolve this whole situation is combine the two assessors, and then it's a countywide tax.
I tried that.
It didn't work.
And that's not on the agenda, so we can't vote on that.
That's an option.
You are needed at City Hall, Dennis.
Well, this points out a good case why, it should be the city assessor, because this city assessor, rural people didn't get the equalization order. If it was on the other foot, the county assessor should pay the bill too, but the countywide, our general fund should not pay it, because you're only affecting what he's saying, a select number of taxpayers.
I'll move we send the bill to the city assessor.
I'll second that.
I did fail to mention in my comments earlier, there's a separate code section that indicates that if the auditor fails to send out the notice for whatever reason, it would not affect the validity of the equalization order. So it doesn't, whatever that's worth, I guess, if the auditor were to refuse it, it's still a valid order. So it really is a courtesy notice to the taxpayers of Sioux City. It's not a countywide issue, so that figured in as well.
Any other discussion on the item? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes 5-0. Moving on to item 9A, from Board Administration to approve the 2017 claims that were submitted from the medical examiner in the amount of $4,428.42. I'll move that.
Second.
All right. And does everyone know the background on this?
For some reason, they did submit 4 years of bills going back to 2000, I believe, 14. The actual contract says they can go back 60 days. They have to submit their bills within 60 days, so it's somewhat of a
Kind of a compromise to pay 1 year.
compromise. We pay 1 year, 17. The medical examiner was contacted, the current medical examiner, and she didn't really have too much to say. And our medical examiner is up December 31st of this year. So we recommend paying 1 year, 2017, and let the other 3 go. And that's doing more than we have to, but it's just a compromise.
All right, well, we have a motion by Raddick, second by Potabom. Any further discussion?
And that's to pay 1 year? Is that your?
Yeah, the 2017 year.
Okay.
Well, I think the idea is that going forward, they're going to be more timely. But this is a one-time thing because Dr. Carroll is, I think, fully retired now, and he kind of cleaned out his old cases or closed them up, and this was a result of some of that.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes 5-0. Item B, 9B, approval of the annual renewal report for FY 18 and 19.
This is an annual report I got to file by December 1st. It reflects the past expenditures for fiscal year 18-19. And it's just, you can see pretty much what it is, platinum grain. And I believe this year is our first payment. I don't know. Okay, we had our first year of interest, and we had some other payments too, regard to the TIF project we did down in the TIF area. We fill this out every year, so it's just keep growing a little bit each year.
All right, I'll move it.
Second.
Motion by Raddick, second by DeWitt. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes 5-0. Moving on to your reports on committee meetings. Jeremy?
Not a committee meeting, but just let the rest of the board know we are going to take another crack at meeting with the city potentially a week after Thanksgiving. It seems they have the time and bandwidth to be able to do so. We do have some reports back from Goldberg architects answering the question of what it would look like to build in the same present location, how that would be potentially cost prohibitive in terms of not only building there, the same issues that we have, staffing, and so on, but how we would want to make good faith effort as well as demonstrate to the city that we wouldn't have the same kind of maintenance issues that in part led us to this present position. So with that, try to meet with them again and see if we can get off of the starting blocks. Or about
No, except Adoption Saturday was last Saturday at the courthouse here. There's still one of the balloons up in the dome from that. So 25 families had adoptions processed, and as a CASA, wanted to pass on the thanks of that organization for the courthouse space.
Marty or Rocky?
Nope.
Citizen concern round 2. Packed room. Board concern. Jeremy. Matthew. Right.
We
Matthew,
going
sorry.
to have any potential budget reviews, or is it still?
I got probably about a dozen we could go through. They're basically one-liners, just to get them just to receive them. I can show you, we won't have the information like we are gonna have through Tyler, because we're still working on it. We have a process where we're trying to get our increment values out, because we need those for the city needs them. We need them to figure out our increments. And then I think probably maybe tomorrow or maybe even Friday, I know we aren't open, but we may be down here anyway, working on it, probably get them out next week for people to input their budgets. So potentially the 17th, we could do what I call one-liners, or like soil conservation, county fair, county library, things like that, sanitary landfill, or the landfill out there, Mobile. Those we could bring, get those out of the way. And then hopefully, now we actually, this year, with the new law, we can certify March 31st instead of March 15th, so it actually gives us 2 extra weeks. So that will be a help there, tremendous help. If we go over 2% tax increase in either general fund, it was a general basic, general sub, or rural basic and rural sub, either one of those over 2%, it takes a super majority of 4 votes to pass a budget. If we're, with 3 counties, they've had a super majority because they had 2 out of 3 to pass a budget. When we got 5, and I think there's like 36 counties or something like that with 5 supervisors, it takes, if we go over 2, it'll take 4 votes to get it passed. And it's going to be a little more detail for transparency to show where the increases are in the budgets. And to appeal the budget, and this is kind of ridiculous, but this is what they passed. It takes 100 people to protest a budget now. It used to be a certain percent of presidential election. It's a lot simpler now. So, somebody gets a little irate about something, they could protest it very easily. But we'll be prepared for it and defend what we do. Not afraid of it, put it that way. We had one once before, and we basically won, except maybe some excess reserves, but we don't have excess reserves anymore. We're just budgeting what we have to budget to make it work. You got anything to add to my happening?
No, I just, same thing that I told you last week is, I know the deputy county auditor has been working nights and weekends trying to get everything together. She's been without a clerk for 9 weeks now, and so we're struggling to get through it, but we will get through it.
All right,
A couple things on, I had conversation with Gene Logan from Community Action Agency of Siouxland regarding our new position at the jail. The new sergeant that does those mental health type screenings and such. One of the concerns that came up with, that he brought up was some of these folks being released from jail have no transportation, and then that broadened into the conversation that some of them were released at 2 o'clock in the morning, whether they're bonded out, or 7 o'clock in the morning. But the point being that they may or may not have any transportation to get to, for example, a warming shelter or workforce development, those kind of things. Was talked about trying to figure out a cost. Would it be general assistance through Community Action Agency of Siouxland, which does have some funding, but at the moment I think there's a lot of logistics that need to be ironed out if that was going to take place on, would it be a one-time thing, would it be a full one-day pass, one-time bus ride, whatever the case may be. So that's been up in discussion, no answers, no real good ideas, just a kind of a thought process. And secondly, I'm thinking this might be pointed at our auditor. Christmas Eve is the 24th on a Tuesday, and we're closed on Wednesday, Christmas Day. Is there going to be what are we going to do for a meeting that week?
We don't normally meet on Christmas week, do we?
It's usually the last Tuesday that we don't, and that would be the last Tuesday, but we're off Tuesday and Wednesday.
so
31st would be last Tuesday.
Monday the 23rd, or not have one, or
We probably should have a short meeting to pay the bills. We'll check into that and we'll let you know.
Thank you, Karen.
That's not the last Tuesday. The 31st would be the last Tuesday, wouldn't it?
24th
We're
is the
still
last
closed
Tuesday.
on Christmas Eve.
31st, yeah, you're right, 31st.
So
Yeah, New Year's Eve.
31st is the last Tuesday.
All right, well, 2 questions. District 3 Supervisors meeting December 4th. Anyone planning to go? Western Iowa Legislative Forum, December 4th. Anyone planning to go? All right, no notice is needed then, so I have no concerns. We're adjourned.
Good job.